Got Your Eers On is brought to you by Tactical Legion Knives. Live from the campus of Tom Radio, under the direction of Guido, Scoot, and Johnson, it's the pride of podcasting. It's Got Your Eers On.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Got Your Eers On. I'm Guido along with Scoot.
Hey.
And Johnson.
996 signatures, Guido.
Yeah, we got to get to 1,000 folks. So if you haven't done it yet, follow us on Twitter, find us on Instagram, look for us on Facebook, look all over the place. Change.org, you're Got Your Eers On, boys. We started a petition to rename the court at the Coliseum Bob Huggins Court.
Let's do it.
It's got to get done.
Should already be there, don't you think?
And the Mike Carey baseline.
And the Mike Carey baseline.
But that'll be a separate change.org.
That'll be a separate change.org. Yes. We'll shoot for like 500 signatures.
Yeah.
Huggins passes Adolph Rupp on Saturday. He now has 877 wins.
Yeah, amazing.
And here's my argument to why I started this, folks, is that Roy Williams is still coaching. And Huggins might pass him this year because North Carolina can't win, and they have problems winning this year.
They're having a rough season, yeah.
And he's only like, 6 wins ahead of Huggins at this point.
I think that's right, yeah.
And Roy Williams has a court named after him. You know, Coach K, nobody's going to catch Coach K, I don't think, but Coach K has a court named after him. Jim Boeheim has a court named after him. Why doesn't Huggins? Why can't we just step up to the plate, WVU, and rename it?
Well, I mean, we keep talking about those strict, I don't know, WVU has these really strict rules around who they reward with this stuff.
We only retire the same numbers. You're only allowed to wear 44, and it's the only number that's allowed to be retired.
So we decided this week here at Got Your Ears that we're going to put out there that change.org petition. We're going to run it for about a month, see how many signatures we can get, and then we're going to send it off to Shane Lyons and E. Gordon Gee and everybody, and we're getting them to change the name of the court.
Let's make it happen. Come on,
make it happen.
If Pat White wore number 75, he'd be allowed to have it retired.
I was just thinking that too. Yeah, you got to be strategic when you choose your jersey number.
So definitely, though, find it, sign it on change.org, share it, tell everybody. Guys, we got a great show lined up for you. I do want to say, we're going to talk basketball here in a minute, but stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. New West Virginia WVU football commit, Mark Rucker, running back. He is going to be on the show later talking to Scoot. Just some great insight to the whole recruiting program and how he connected and decided to go with WVU over some of his D2 scholarship options and a few other things. So stay tuned. That's coming up in segment 2. You'll definitely get to hear it. But boys, right now we need to talk about some basketball.
Yes.
Up and down week for us last week. We had a loss against Texas Tech at Texas Tech, and then a win versus K-State. Johnson, the Texas Tech game just gave me some agita, man. It did not sit well with me. Technical fouls galore. Like all of a sudden it's like technical foul central. What happened?
When I was putting the notes in here for the show, the only word I kept coming back to was obnoxious. And so I'll tell you what I mean. Like, thinking back on that game, so if you think back to that Texas Tech game, we really didn't quite we didn't play the way I think we would have liked to have played on offense. On the road at a tough Texas Tech team, we still only lose by 8. So that's why you're feeling a little heartburn, Guido. I feel like we had that one. But looking back on that game, you're right. So the technical foul circus was just obnoxious. Now, I think some people were generally complaining about the refereeing in the game. I think it was don't you think it was kind of the same old, I felt like it was par for the course Big 12. It was kind of bad across but it was bad against us and for us during the course of the game. I felt, it was one of those regular Big 12 games, but the technical fouls were just, like I said, obnoxious. It became like a ref show. You weren't allowed to look at another guy or breathe on him. You were going to get a technical foul called.
Yeah, and I'm not sure where it came from. I mean, they were like very strange technical fouls because you would look at it and you'd be like, nothing really happened, but yet I know there were probably words said, and I'm not sure what words Oscar Schwebe can say, But
well, I just
there must have
remember
been
that.
words.
That's actually a good summary because at one point Scoot texted me and said they called one on Oscar. He's like the nicest guy. Like, it's a circus when they called one on Oscar. Like, what would he
I
get
read
a
that
T
he
for?
said, "Get that stuff out of here, man." That's what he said. I think he said,
But he didn't say stuff.
I think
You're
he
not
said
saying-
stuff. I think he said stuff.
He said stuff. He didn't say the other. He
I don't
didn't say
think
the
so.
other sh.
I think he said, "Get
stuff.
that stuff out of here, man."
Oh, come on.
That's even funnier to me now.
That even makes it crazier.
Well,
Get
so
that stuff.
so that was obnoxious. Actually, before we leave that though, don't you agree that there was one maybe technical? That's it, and that was when the Punk kind of bumped Culver, and that was it.
That was a big mistake by him.
I mean, but that
Like,
was
what
like
are
if
you
you're going to call a
thinking?
T, that would have been the only one, right? I mean, the
That
other
kind of
stuff
looked
was
like.
just-
Did you see the? It went viral on Twitter. The somewhat scrawnier looking guy who was in a weight room or something, and he's walking around and he's like shouldering up.
yeah.
That's kind of what Shannon reminded me. Shannon, not your wife, reminded me of in that basketball game. Like, you are chesting.
Although Shannon will
Chesting
blow
or
up on
elbowing,
you.
I don't know how you would are brushing up against. Probably one of the stronger, maybe less connected in the. I mean, he comes across very eloquent when you talk to him or hear him talk.
I just want, like, did something happen? Like, did something happen in warmups before the second half, or what precipitated all of it? Like, where did it all start? Because like usually they're like even Big 12 refs. I mean, most referees, but even Big 12 refs will say, hey, let's not do that. Let's break it up and give them but I felt like all of a sudden it was like technicals everywhere.
Well,
and like,
I think to me, and they kind of mentioned it during the broadcast, to me it had, we don't want another Kansas State fight. They were like hypersensitive to any chippiness, because I was sitting there watching the game thinking, do you guys recall back when we went to, what is it, Guido, the Madison Square Garden of the Plains? Scoot's favorite.
Eba Gallagher Arena,
Scoot's
home
favorite.
of the
historic.
Anyway,
But if you remember when we went to play Oklahoma State, remember that part of the game where another scrawny dude decided he was going to come at the beast of the league at the foul line? Remember when he kind of he wouldn't get out of Culver's grill, and Culver two-hand shoved him down the base. Remember that? And they just were like, and the ref came over and was like, hey guys, kind of knock that off. Now it was like Oscar says,
did you say stuff?
Did you say stuff? Did stuff come out of your mouth?
Boop. I mean, contrast those two things, and it just makes no sense to me. So anyway, that was obnoxious. Another thing, is this just me, or what were all of the 14-step choreographed handshakes that the Texas Tech players were doing at various parts of the game? Was that just me that noticed? Like, the final one that got me, the reason I wrote this comment down was, I think it was Taz Sherman. The clock's going 2-1, we're getting to the horn, and you're kind of just dribbling out the clock, waiting to, shake hands and everything. And Taz Sherman's gone to, I think it was Taz Sherman, he's gone to shake someone's hand, but he has to wait like 22 seconds for the 11-step handshake to finish between the two Texas Tech guys so that he can say, hey, good game.
The Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff, didn't they have some sort of ridiculous handshake?
It was like these elaborate, I don't know, it was just goofy to me. I found that to be obnoxious. And then we talked about this a little bit, but
I have a feeling I know what this one's going to be.
We talked about this a little bit, but you could really hear, and I contend we've heard this before. I know I have, but you could really,
I've not.
You could really hear on the broadcast, Texas Tech fans singing Country Roads.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever.
I want people on Twitter to weigh in too, because I know we heard it at Kansas State when we lost our last loss. So maybe not as loud.
Maybe you've got a live feed. Do you have a live feed?
I'll definitely give it to you.
I don't get
it was
the live
loud.
feed.
It was loud in Lubbock, though.
Is that like on ESPN Ocho? You've got the crowd only noise.
Yeah, is that what
I've got a special two
yeah.
view.
Johnson, I have to tell you, it made my blood boil a little bit. It's and I think part of it, and I'll agree with you on this. I think what made it worse is you could hear it clear on the broadcast, on the ESPN broadcast, and then ESPN, the producer in the truck, does a shot of the student section singing it. Like then you see the student section singing it, and it was kind of like that's obnoxious.
But see. The only word I kept coming back to was obnoxious.
Part of it is I think this is where it really gets most of us upset. Like Texas Tech, yes, the only reason why they were somewhat notable in the past was Bobby Knight was there.
Right.
Tubby Smith was like they were more notable because of the coaches that were kind of on the downward trend of their careers.
Right, I was gonna say it's like the last stop.
Who had already done the important parts of their careers somewhere else.
That was what kept them relevant, not the play on the court. The play on the court's been abysmal, except for last year.
Now Chris Beard he's doing a good job.
I think he's doing okay. But my point is, you've been here 2 years as far as being a relevant basketball team.
But to top it off, though, Guido, I put a link in the box note. But as I was going to bed that night, you're flipping through Twitter, kind of like looking for final comments and stuff on the game.
Yeah,
I had a whole bunch of people that I saw on Twitter saying, well, I don't remember now, but I'll have to look at the tweet. But it's like John Denver went a semester at Texas Tech or something. So we actually own that song, and that's our song. And I was like, and there's what do you call that? Like not a trifecta, but like the quad, like we got a obnoxious fest, like that was like that completes the full evening of obnoxious stuff out of Texas Tech. I feel like.
Well, and I'll parlay that right into the obnoxiousness that continued on Saturday in the Coliseum with the fact that I was at that game against K-State, and you can hear, I sat in the 200 level, 231 guys, row K, decent seats, sat in the 200 level. I could hear Bruce Weber screaming from my seats. I could hear, block out, rebound. And I just, and here's the thing, Scoot, you said it in the last episode, and I had watched that K-State game down in Manhattan and didn't notice it as much. But boy, when you're in the Coliseum and you're watching Bruce Weber, he is out on the court. Like the Big 12 needs to do something about it, because
coach's box means nothing.
The coach's box, and like, listen, I get it. Like I've watched enough college basketball to understand that, like, if your team is down the other end playing defense or offense, and you come out of the coach's box a little bit and onto the court to shout whatever, the refs let that go. Literally, West Virginia in the first half playing offense down that side, and he's out on the field, and I'm like, and there's a couple times like I feel like he's like a foot away from Sean McNeil, and I was just kind of hoping Sean McNeil would just throw an elbow right up into him.
He's definitely near the 3-point line. He at one point, I think he had actually crossed mid-court and was on he was almost in Bob Huggins' coaching box.
He
just maybe thinks you can go in any box you want.
He's like, well, you didn't specify which box. As long as I'm in a coaching box.
And I'll tell you, I wasn't the only one, but I worked very hard to get people in my section yelling, get Weber off the court. I mean, there was a time.
Well, you could hear people saying "sit down, Bruce" a lot. You could hear that.
Yeah, there was a time like I was, me, like I start to like strategize like how I'm going to do this, and there was a time where there was a lull in the play, and they were getting ready to inbound the ball, and it was real quiet in the Coliseum, and I can be loud. You guys know I can be loud, and I yelled at the top of my lungs because he was out on the court a little bit. I yelled at the top of my lungs, "Get him off the court!" I'm like, people in my section are laughing. Who's the obnoxious guy? And I'm like, meanwhile, I'm wearing all the Got Your Ears On stuff, and I'm like, oh man.
Well, and speaking
it's either
of,
going to help or hurt this podcast.
Well,
guys.
And speaking of, you made it on the fan cam. That was pretty awesome.
I did. It got some Got Your Ears promo on the fan cam, wearing the Got Your Ears stuff there, the Coca-Cola fan cam.
That was awesome.
I'll have to tweet that picture out. I'll get that out if you haven't seen it yet. So, all in all, though, I mean, it was an ugly, ugly game on Saturday. It was a win. It was a win, but it was an ugly, ugly game, I thought.
Well, I kept thinking about what Scoot said the last time we talked about K-State, because I really thought we should have punished K-State in this game. I don't think we, once again, we didn't shoot all that well.
Right.
But I think we asserted dominance in other places. But I think if we could have made some shots, we would have crushed them. But I kept thinking about what Scoot said last time. I think sometimes we run into these games where it's just not a great matchup, and for whatever reason, I just don't think that's a great matchup. So I'm glad we took care of business. But
yeah, K-State plays some pretty aggressive defense, Scoot. I think that's what really somehow the way they play defense just gets under us.
Yeah, it's not a good, like I said, some teams, it's not necessarily the players they've got, it's just the style of play. And maybe our team doesn't like hearing Bruce Weber. That might just alone.
He's yelling in the middle of guys. I mean, honestly,
that might be the best defense they got.
He might be. I mean, he might be because, and really, the Big 12 has to do something about it. Like, it's ridiculous. I've never seen a coach do that.
Do you think ridiculous. It has anything to do with having a creepy mascot?
It is. What is it?
Because can we talk about where it's a giant kind of like homemade cat's head on top of a human's body? Isn't that weird?
It's like the centaur of a cat, a cat centaur.
So what do the tryouts include? Like your ability to hold on to or have a 30-pound gigantic cat head, like if you can keep it up without falling head first onto the floor.
I feel like balance, is a big deal.
Balance. I mean, do you have to be physically fit otherwise?
It just makes me wonder what was the original conversation with that. Like they got done with the head, and then they were like, "Man, I'm tired. Can we just? We're just going with the head. Okay, I don't have time for.
Just put a jersey on them.
You'll be fine."
Yeah,
if you're an overweight guy, can you go and okay. No, sorry, the Wildcat, he is a thin cat.
That's right.
Like, is that what they say? I'm sorry,
he's
Johnson and I, our cats, they can't be the Wildcat. They can't ever.
That's right.
Our cats aren't ever going to be the Wildcat. We got fat cats.
I just think maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's it's a distraction. I think.
it's definitely a distraction. Just like Bruce Weber. It's like
maybe you take that, you pair it with Bruce Weber.
That should be their mascot. They should just have somebody dress up like Bruce Weber, because then he could be out on the court.
And he just screams.
Now, let me ask you, Guido. You were there. Was the skinny cat, the cat mascot? Was he there?
Did you guys see him on TV? I didn't see him there. So
I don't know.
I don't think he was there.
I just thought the head traveled with the team.
Do the cats I mean, our Mountaineer, he travels, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't the cat? I think a cat would travel.
Maybe it's too expensive to put the cat's head on a plane.
What about the Yosemite Sam from Oklahoma State?
I don't know if he travels or not.
He's another one.
He's creepy looking too.
It's a human with a big gigantic human head, which is
human, right.
It's his human head on top of a human.
I don't know. It's weird.
Listen, you don't look 5 o'clock shadow enough. We need to put this gigantic paper mache head on you.
Oh.
Put this giant waxy looking head on. Perfect.
Perfect. Now you look. We could have just put a hat on you, but instead we'll put
you can't grow your mustache and 5 o'clock shadow well enough. We're gonna have to go with the gigantic paper mache waxy shiny head. And a ridiculous. Is it a 10-gallon hat if it's that big? It's probably more like a 40-gallon hat.
Oh man. So listen, we should probably actually talk some real basketball, just a little bit, so people can know that we actually watch these games. Johnson, why can you? I want to get your just give us the truth of what you feel here. Why does Huggins still start the same 5 guys if he doesn't want to play them? Like, he obviously doesn't want to play, Matthews and McCabe right now. They're barely getting any minutes. Why do we keep starting the same 5 guys?
Well, I think it almost feels to me like he feels like there must be some flow there, that he feels those guys are comfortable coming off the bench. So he's fine. He's fine doing that. And I think we're even getting more and more comments, I feel like, here and there from other players on the team that point to someone like McCabe who's a leader. So I feel like he likes to start that game, start the game with McCabe on the court. Now, I think the interesting thing is it feels like we see Haley in and out of the starting lineup, or at least he's often there, but then sometimes he's pulled out. So I don't know. It is kind of odd, and I almost feel like the starting 5 is just kind of like formality anyway, because Hugs continues to do, like, we made a note of it during the game against K-State. He just like does a hockey line change and he puts the second squad in. So I don't know. It is peculiar. I don't know. I don't remember the last time I've watched us do these full 5 in, 5 outs like we've done this year.
I mean, this was actually, it was kind of odd about this game is this was the least amount of guys in a while that have played double-digit minutes, where you had only 8 guys on Saturday play double-digit minutes.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that I don't understand is that, the idea of being a starter, kind of an honor. You get to come out at the beginning of the game, you get your name announced, the whole show and all that. I feel like if you want to try to reignite Jordan, I know he's like, I saw the tweet that Nick Farrell put out on Sunday night where he's like, while the rest of you are getting ready to watch the big game, this is Jordan McCabe. And it was a picture of Jordan McCabe like at 5:30 on Sunday shooting 3-pointers, practicing in the Coliseum.
Right.
And I get it. And he's a hard worker. But I feel like maybe if you put him on the bench and you let Miles start, does that give Jordan a little push when he does come in off the bench? I mean, I don't know. I want to see the kid do well, but in the same sense, I don't get the whole idea you're going to start a guys and then the first TV break, you're just doing a whole line change.
Yeah, I
guess
guess
interesting.
To me, I still feel like it's not necessary. Like, so take this K-State game. I feel like McCabe, it wasn't just the formality of, okay, now let's switch it out. I feel like, to me, he still has such a short leash with McCabe. As soon as something happens, he yanks him right out. So I don't know, but I feel like he must, I mean, we don't know, but he must feel like there's some kind of flow that he feels comfortable with having, like Taz Sherman and do some people coming off the bench instead of starting. So, but I see your point. It is.
And now you've got Napper back playing. He played 12 minutes on Saturday.
Yeah.
That's the first time he's played 12 minutes in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it was just, it's strange. The rotations I feel like are kind of strange right now, Scoot, because, you've got Emma Matthews, who had kind of gone cold, but actually his last 2 games, he didn't look that bad in the Texas Tech game, and he didn't look that bad in the K-State game for the time that he was in, but he's still not playing a lot of minutes.
Part of it is because I think at that small forward spot, you kind of see him, you see Huggins rotate. Occasionally we see Chase Harler in that space. We see Taz Sherman. We see some of these other guards that kind of can not necessarily be a forward, so to speak, but we see us go with 3 guards, and so that ends up leaving Emmett Matthews out because sometimes Jermaine Haley fits that space. It just depends on who's in there. But I'm going to say this real quick. I've always had issues with the starting lineup that we've had because Issa Ahmad started for 3.5 years and should have never started maybe most of the time. I always felt that somebody had some questionable photos of the coaching staff or something that he had some sort of connection to, because why was Issa Ahmad starting all the time when he would sleepwalk through games?
And Johnson, I think that you're right. I think that Huggins gets these guys and they, when they are good guys, at least good guys to him, and they follow his system. I think it's a lot about following Huggins' system. And even if you're not necessarily performing on the court, he's still going to make you a prominent person in the program.
Yeah, and
to help you out.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing too is it would feel so. Just hypothetically, what if I spun it back to you and said he yanked Jordan McCabe out of the starting lineup? You know what I mean? It would be like, has he really done, to me, I think I would.
Right. And you're like, the kid's a hard worker. We'd all be like, oh, the kid's a hard worker. He shows up at the gym at 5 in the morning.
I think people would be like, well, right. So I guess to me, that's like the equalizer to me to keep him in the starting lineup. So I don't know if that's that's kind of a wishy-washy answer, but to me, that's what keeps his leadership, his work. I think he gets rewarded for that.
Yeah, I agree, and
he should.
I know,
and he should.
Yeah,
too.
and
I'm
he
not
should.
questioning
And he
it.
absolutely should.
He absolutely should.
Yeah. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what happens here now that we turn into the February games and it starts to really churn up here. We got 2 games against Baylor.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
Kansas game.
Baylor.
We got some games.
Baylor is red hot right now.
Man, they're unstoppable.
If you watch any of their games, man, they are red hot. And we've got a back-to-back where we have Kansas at home and then we play Baylor. So they're
so good. Chip Gaines is hitting half-court shots.
Yeah, right? I mean,
Yeah,
come
he is.
on. Everything's working right now for them.
Yeah, yeah. So those are all coming up, man. Those are going to be big games to talk about. But listen, I know we said it at the top of the show, but I just want to mention it one more time. We've got a change.org petition out there. We really want everybody to go sign it. I actually challenge all of the other WVU podcasts, sports podcasts, Unnecessary Doubt, Section 304, Raspy Voice, Final Forecast, even Three Guys, which I know don't even care about what we say. But I challenge all those guys to get behind it, push it out there, and start getting this. We need to get the court named the Bob Huggins Court. It needs to happen, folks. And so we need you to sign the petition. We'll get it to this college from there. And really, we got to get this thing going. It's an important thing. He's now past Adolph Rupp. He's going to pass Dean Smith, I think, 2 wins. So this is a big deal. We need to, if we're going to name the Coliseum something like the Tudor's Biscuit Basket, we got to come up with a better name for the court. We've got to name the court.
Bob Huggins Court at the Tudor's Biscuit Basket.
Come on, let's
At least I'll be able to swallow
Bob
it.
Huggins Court at the Little General.
let's take charge of the part we can take charge of, right? Let's do it. Come on, make it happen.
Definitely. Listen, guys, let's take a quick break. Stay tuned, guys. Next segment, Mark Rucker is going to be on talking with Scoot about being recruited, coming to, and committing to WVU as a walk-on next year. So don't go anywhere. That's coming up next right here on Got Your Eers On. Vortec Knives is a West Virginia owned and operated company specializing in high quality steel, fast opening, everyday carrying knives. If you go to vortechknives.com today and use the code GYEO, you get a 25% discount on your entire order. That's Vortech, VORTEK knives.com, a West Virginia owned and operated company specializing in fast opening, high quality, everyday carry knives. Vortec Knives.
Welcome back to Got Your Eers On. This is a reminder that you can go to our Twitter page at Got Your Eers. This is Scoot. I am joined with Mark Rucker. Mark is a recent WVU football commitment. We're excited to have him on here. We've talked a little bit about his high school career a couple episodes ago, so we're excited to actually get him here to talk to him. So welcome aboard, Mark.
Thank you for having me.
You are a 3-time first-team All-State football player, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And I want to talk a little bit about your football career. In your 4 years, you rushed for over 4,000 yards, almost 4,500 yards, 98 total TDs. When did you know that football was going to be your sport?
Football really wasn't, I didn't really know after my freshman year. It was just something I was like, man, this is fun. I've always knew I've loved football and it was my favorite, but it was I never really thought of it next level until after my freshman year. And it was that first game against Williamstown my sophomore year. And I broke a long run, then I broke another one. And then just before halftime, I broke another one as the time ran out. And it was just it was just crazy. It just got that feeling that that takeover feeling.
That you felt like, hey, I
could work on this and make something out of this.
And I'm standing out against kids my age or a little bit older even.
And that was before any type of work. Just I ran in the summer.
Sure.
I was more focused on track. So
yeah, I was going to say you're a 3-sport athlete. You play football, basketball, and track. At any point were the other 2 sports your go-to sport?
In middle school, everyone has that sport that they think's their sport, and then it's you just get reality. Maybe not. I always thought I was a basketball player, and obviously not. As I got into high school, I still play, of course, and I love it. And then my freshman year, track was the most fun I had in any sport. Then my sophomore year, I finally made really good connections with my teammates, and we really hit it off. And after that, it was it made football so fun.
All right,
and I really appreciated everything about just playing the sport. So
now you had a great senior season, and because of your senior year, you got a lot of accolades. Coalfield and Company Offensive Player of the Year, Zilla Conference Offensive Player of the Year, again first team All-State, Mid-Ohio Valley Running Back of the Year. You had a great senior season. You rushed for over 1,800 yards. You had 386 yards receiving, 33 touchdowns in one season. Does any one game or play or anything stand out from your senior year?
Well, actually, we'll go to Magnolia because that went viral. I caught that screen pass out of the slot
And I think we retweeted that one play there where you kind of had you eluded 3 or 4 would-be tacklers and were able to scamper into the end zone on that left side.
What felt good about that, I'm a very technical guy when I do summer workouts, like practice on cutting and stuff like that. So I just picture like that was like how I worked out, like how I work out in a workout I did translated for that exact situation.
Well, that's awesome.
Like
that's...
coming from all angles and staying like you have to stay composed to be able to make those moves and just time it up. So that felt really good about that because that was exactly like that was the first time I ever got a glimpse like exactly what I worked for in the summer. Like just
so you can see the workout actually translating to the actual game. And that was
everything. Like that's exactly the type of situation close to the sideline how I thought it should be worked, and I executed it. So I wasn't surprised because it's something I work on all the time, and I love working on my craft. So that just felt crazy to me, and that was awesome, and it went viral, so.
That was pretty awesome. Something else that was kind of unique to your senior year was you had the opportunity to kind of meet a former WVU player, Mario Alford.
Yeah.
And he was able to kind of work out with some of you guys. And what kind of impact did Mario have on your senior year and maybe your future?
That is one of the most random thing that's ever happened. Like, one day I know almost every Mountaineer that I can look at. Like, I can just be like, hey, that's Mario Alford. So, like... Yeah. I come to practice and I see someone walking from the parking lot and I start squinting. I'm like, who is that? And I'm like, that's Mario Alford. I'm like, what's he doing here? And so I found out why he was here and we were talking and he really, me and him talked. Like, so when we were getting reps in, he would talk to me and I asked him for advice and the best advice he gave me, and it might be the best advice, not the best advice I've ever gotten, but really my type of advice I'd want is control what you can control. And at the time, I had really no offers, but I knew I always put the work in, like, because I was going to the gym, I'm doing my footwork, I'm doing my workouts, I'm doing anything I can, catching passes every single day, and I was just like, thank you. And that's like, that really hit me, because I'm like, if he can tell me and look me in the eye, the best thing he can tell me is control, I can control, I'll be all right, because I'm doing that every single day, so.
That's a pretty amazing opportunity, like I said, like you said, kind of out of the nowhere. And we say out of nowhere because where we are is a fairly rural place.
Yeah.
We're not in a big city. So to have a former Mountaineer and a former great Mountaineer, he was drafted in the NFL. Mm-hmm. He's gone on, played professionally a couple years in the NFL. Now he's in the Canadian Football League and doing really well in the Canadian Football League. So to have somebody with that kind of background be able to at least mentor you or give you advice, that's...
And the thing is, like, he wasn't fake about it. He really was supportive. He came that first day and he was wearing a Tyler Consolidated shirt, so I was like, are you kidding me?
Pretty amazing.
And then we were playing our first game of the year, and he comes in at halftime, and he was standing on the sidelines. Then another game goes by, he's on the sideline again, so he's showing up to practices for like 2 weeks straight and like not missing a practice, and it was awesome. It was just awesome.
I want to talk to you a little bit about recruiting because I think that's an area that me as a fan and a lot of fans don't know a lot about. It's a part that we get excited about, but we don't know a lot of the kind of the inner workings or some of the background details that unless you're being recruited, you don't really know. Being from Tyler County, and it's a small area, the best way, probably one of the best ways you can get noticed is by going to camps.
Yeah.
And you went to several camps throughout your high school career.
I started off, I went to my first camp. One thing about camps that you learn, it doesn't matter. Like, you get excited that you know people will be there evaluating you, but once you get that in your head, you forget most of the time that if you're going to go to the camp, you better show out at the camp, because it's one thing to get there, but it's another thing to show out in front of everyone there. So my first camp, I pretty much what I went there to do, I failed, so that motivated me in any of the rest of the camps or combines I've ever went to again after that, because I wasn't skipping line, like trying to get my reps in. I wasn't playing confident, and I was just being really passive. And then after like that one, but the thing was though, that was just with competition. So when we went to the weight room though, we had a group of 40 skill positions. It was just all meshed in skill positions. And that was the time my sophomore year, like right a couple months after my sophomore year, we started doing how many times you could do the bench press. And they put 185 on there. And I got second out of like 40 people for the most out of like my given skill position.
Right.
It wasn't that anyone worked harder than me, it was the fact I was just being passive. So like, it was just my mentality.
A little bit of confidence.
So that changed my mentality going to camps after that, because I was like, I am just as strong as these guys, and it wasn't that. It was just my mentality. So after that, my mentality really changed, and I'm glad that that happened. You know, I go to these camps, and you get evaluated with your film by, you know, just coaches and stuff. So I sent mine to, what really hit it off was sent mine off to the opening. And that was crazy because that's something I always wanted to go to, like as a kid, like learning about it. So when I finally got there, it was awesome, and I really did well there. And I got invited back because I didn't get the second day invite. So I had to come up one day, go back, and then come back up again. The first day, I got my gloves stolen. So and I'm from West Virginia too, so I'm running around with like no gloves. And like everyone's asking me where I'm from, and I'm like, West Virginia, and they're like, oh, is that why you don't wear gloves? I'm like, no, I got mine stolen. Like, I'm surprised they didn't steal my cleats too. So I was out there with no gloves but still catching balls and everything. So that felt good too.
A little bit of motivation too, to do a little bit even more.
And I got a good score, and that really just after that part of my recruiting process situation was over with, I really felt good about my confidence and my play, because there's people there have offers from everywhere, you know.
Part of that too, it seems like when you go to the camps, a couple things happen. One, you can probably you start to rate yourself as to where you fall with other guys.
Oh yeah.
And then two, there is a little bit of like a brotherhood, so to speak, once you start to meet some of these guys, where you kind of keep tabs on how their seasons have gone. And so tell me a little bit about some of the relationships you may have developed with some of these other recruits along the way.
Oh yeah. You get to see a lot of guys. Well, it's awesome being in the same place, doing the same thing you all like to do, and having the same passion for it. Because you're not always guaranteed to be around people that have the same level of passion and stuff. So I'm going to these camps, and it's just awesome competing, because some people might get offended by someone trying to do, like, obviously making it a point to do something better than you, even letting you know that. So, like, within the trash talk and everything, but I love it because how are you going to get better if someone's going to back down from you? But these guys will go at you at these camps, and that's what's awesome about it. So I never really knew Adam Murray from Wheeling Central, and he just signed to go play football at I forget what it was called.
Baldwin
Wallace.
Yeah.
And he's a great guy. I saw him at the opening. I was just walking to get some water at the opening, and I didn't even know he was there, and I just tapped him. I was like, what's up? And yeah, but you can tell, like, even just talking to him for a little bit, and then I've built like a little bit of a friendship with him. Like, you can tell, like, both our minds are in the same place, and we're the same type of focus. Yeah, I even played him in a playoff game, so that was cool too.
So you go to camps, you are starting to have a pretty good senior season. Let's talk a little bit about some of these colleges that start now taking notice. They're probably looking at some of your huddle film. They're probably reaching out to the high school coaching staff to know a little bit more about you. Did you have a lot of interest from Division II, Division I schools? Where did you start to really...
It got really confusing, and one thing that's taught me is to be very patient and not really put all my eggs in one basket, because you know you can get told a lot of things through recruitment, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter until what you are told at all until something actually happens. And the way I looked at it is, and that happened to me multiple times it didn't even matter, D2, D1 schools. And at the end of the day, I just started getting like a little frustrated and angry with it. But at the end of the day, I know if I'm not getting what I think I deserve, then I'm not working hard enough for it. So it only made me work harder, so I'm very thankful for that, because, I mean, look how long it's taken for me to commit somewhere. I never, as a young sophomore, I was like, I'm going to be committed by my junior year. I'm going to be sitting pretty. It's going to be awesome to already be committed. And I waited till the last couple of weeks it came down to it. So I was getting a lot of D2 looks, but then I get a couple DMs, and, you know, we'll keep in touch is what they'd say, and they didn't really have much to say. And then a couple D1 schools following me. I went on a game invite to Cincinnati, and I thought it was going to be something there going on, but it didn't work out, and I didn't get that opportunity. That was just odd to me as a sophomore, because not knowing how it worked yet, I was just getting my feet wet with it, and I'm like, is this really what it's like? After that happened, so I was just, okay, I'll just go back and work harder, because I wasn't working hard enough. And that's how I just think of it. And I was like, okay, I'll just work harder. It's no problem. But at the end of the day, I started getting looks by D2 after this season, and getting some D1. And I went on a visit to Old Dominion, and I'd be getting recruited from them for a little bit. And at the end of the day, I just felt like I made the right decision. I know I made the right decision, and I couldn't be more happier with my decision.
Now, when you decided to commit to WVU, who are some of the coaches that you connected the most with when you went on your visit? And
I've been in touch with Coach Trickett, and he's done mostly all of the recruiting on me, and it felt good, and I really believe in just believe in this. I trust the climb. That's like the best way. I trust the climb, and as a kid, I've grown up wanting to be always wondering what it would be like to be a mountaineer, and it wasn't that I really didn't want to be a mountaineer, and I really never thought I would be one, but after going on a couple visits and seeing what it was like, and then after I went on that WVU visit, it was just...
You just knew.
As soon as I have friends in Morgantown I'm very close to, and my sister goes to school there, and just the energy of Morgantown and knowing how bought in everyone is to any program. It's not just the football, all the sports, everyone loves it. So to get that support and that drive from that city, that'd just be crazy to me. And
on a more serious note, you've probably seen Coach Brown's piped up video. Have you seen that on?
Yeah.
It went viral. What do you think of that? What does he seem like? That's his personality? He's a pretty easygoing guy. Seems to be like a player's coach.
He's exactly what he comes off to be. And I went up to camps this summer at WVU, and I saw him coaching people, and he came up and talked to me a little bit. I ran my 40, and he came up and gave me some advice. He's like, get your shoulders a little bit loose, more loose. Mm-hmm. And he was just laid back telling me, and I go look over, and he's coaching someone else the same exact way. But at the end of the day, I'm 100% sure, not being around him that much. And when I committed, he talked to me on the phone, and he sounded exactly like the guy that was talking to me this summer, trying to coach just a kid that maybe he didn't even know who it was, or if he was didn't even know he'd be committing there. So he's the same as that guy that he comes off to be, and that's another thing. He's a real deal to me. He's the real deal, and if anyone's gonna bring a Big 12 championship to WVU, it's gonna be him.
You've seen me kick a soccer ball. Do you think, and you can be very honest because I know the answer already, I've got a master's degree from WVU. I could look into another graduate program. Could I potentially be a possible replacement for Casey Legg or Evan Staley? Is there? I can go either foot, left or right.
If you don't, I like that you don't have a weak foot.
I think I'm pretty solid from 30 yards out.
Solid from I think it's gonna take a little more than 30 yards out.
Okay.
Because we might get in a situation. We need a little bit longer than 30
so
yards.
Maybe no kickoffs.
No kickoffs. I wouldn't say that. Extra point maybe.
Okay.
Maybe extra point.
So when you get on campus, if things are looking bleak with special teams, just start floating my name out there.
All right.
Okay.
All right. I'll relay it.
I can get into a master's program real quick if they need me.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
I'm a little older than the typical student, but I think I'd still look good in a uniform. That you get there, you let Coach Brown and some of the other coaching staff. All right. I appreciate that. When you get to campus, what do you plan on studying?
Education.
So you're looking to teach?
Yep. I'm looking to teach health.
Okay.
Most likely.
Awesome.
So.
And is that something that I know that you recently visited your old elementary school after you committed? Is that something you have a passion for, working with kids?
Yeah, and when I was younger, I wasn't always the best student, and seeing how I've had plenty of special teachers to me that mean something to me, that have really given me a different perspective on how to be a good student and how to motivate kids, because a lot of my teachers I owe my success to as growing as a person as well.
All right,
that means a lot to me, and if I could do that for other kids, that's something. And I'm good with kids too. So
this is what people want to know. If NCAA 2K football were to come back, what would your rating be? What would you rate yourself?
What would I rate myself? Well, I'm honest. I'm an honest guy. So everything goes the way it should. It should go. I work, based on my work ethic and stuff. I say I get up to a 95.
95? Okay,
and they have X factors and Madden, so I don't know why they wouldn't put them in NCAA. So I'd take an X factor. I'd be like I get the jukebox.
Okay.
So,
now, how about your speed?
My speed.
Because that's what really matters in video games. It's all about speed.
I haven't been around other D1 speedsters, so I'd go 92.
92?
92, be honest and fair with myself.
I think if I were to rate my speed, it's somewhere probably 48.
48?
I think I'd be a solid 48. Acceleration, I can't say zero acceleration, probably like a 12.
12
acceleration. Because once I get going, that's when I'm really
you
churning.
just be the kicker.
Right.
Be a kicker.
Right. But if I do get to kick kickoffs, I'm going to be like a headhunter.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm like a heat-seeking missile.
You're going to be that kicker from Penn State a couple years back.
Yeah, I am a heat-seeking missile. So if you are a return man and I'm doing the kickoffs, look out.
All right. I mean.
So if I were to kick off to you, run out of bounds because I'm coming.
I think 90's vastly greater than 48. So I hope you have a good angle,
so you
though.
think the jukebox?
The jukebox is
one
is
jukebox move and then
that out,
guaranteed.
So
then you're buying me.
And then on top of that, I hope you have a good angle. And another underrated rating. I put my strength at about 92.
Okay.
I'm a physical runner too, so.
Strength for me, I would say, slightly under 92. Maybe I would maybe be a 53.
53? Oh,
yeah, 53 in strength. No, it's better.
It's
than
a
half.
shoestring tackle. Is what
you're right. That's what I'm looking for.
You're
I
going
am
for the
looking
angles.
for ankles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, listen, Mark. I am thrilled for you. We're excited to watch your journey, regardless of how long it takes you to even get on the field. We know you're going to be working hard to do that
every day.
And like I said, Mark, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day here to join Got Your Eers On. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you so much.
Good luck in the future. And you are listening to Got Your Eers On. Tactical Legion Knives, a West Virginia owned and operated company that specializes in heavy-duty tactical knives and gear for the professional warrior, the weekend warrior, and the outdoor warrior. Our products are built tough. For who? For warriors. Hey Mountaineer fans, make sure you go on Amazon and search Tactical Legion Knives, and when you do, make sure you put in the promo code 25TOBRADIO for Tob Radio. You'll get 25% off on Tactical Legion Knives.
All right, welcome back to Got Your Eers On. Hey, folks, listen, don't forget to check out our website, gotyourearson.com. It's definitely the hub to find everything out about us, right, Johnson? You can get kind of everything there.
Oh, yeah. So we're always posting the latest show, obviously, but then we also pack in all the show notes. So if you hear something, that we talked about, you want to check out further, we put all the links to the stuff that we talked about. And then, of course, all the links for where you can like us on the socials, see what we're posting, and subscribe to the audio, all the podcast. It's all right there.
Yeah, definitely. Check it out. All right, Scoot. So, yeah, great interview with Mark Rucker this week. Pretty awesome to hear, his whole process of how he decided to come to WVU versus like ODU and some of the D2 schools, man. It was pretty cool for you to get the chance to talk to him. Yeah,
I've known Mark for a little while. I knew that early on he had a pretty good chance of doing something pretty special in athletics. I wasn't sure which sport, like he said, he wasn't sure which sport was going to be his sport. But once he got on the football field, he really started to stand out amongst the other kids on the field. And I think you heard there in the interview that it was a Williamstown game where he kind of outdistanced some of the would-be tacklers, and I think that was the moment for him. But yeah, it was a good interview. Real pleased that he took time out of his day there to sit down and talk with us, and look forward to big things from him. So I think he's on a good path.
Well, and Guido, aren't you? I mean, we're spread out all over the place now, but I know it's very Homer of me to say this, but I always love it when we get in-state guys. We kind of, through Scoot, we know Mark a little bit better. We know his situation a little bit better, but I just love, it never gets old to me when we get someone that's had success in state and then they decide to come to Morgantown, and I'm excited to see if what he gets to do. And I mean I think it's awesome that he's able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I guess, for us, I mean, like you said, we're all homers, and it's great to see, local kids get taken in the program. And I'll tell you, it's I'm friends with Zach Frazier's family, and it's great to see him, have that opportunity. And so, it's great to see these local West Virginia kids, finally get brought into the program and get to play.
Yeah, and it'll be exciting to follow him now. I mean, his accolades at the high school level obviously speak for themselves, but I think, it'll be be interesting. I'm sure it's exciting for him too to stay home and get the opportunity. I mean, that's big time. Big time to be part of the Big 12 now.
Yeah, definitely. So, Johnson, did you see, to kind of move on, did you see about the breaking news, I guess? It's not really breaking, but it's interesting news that came out early this week from WVU that they got a donor to donate some additional money, I think, for a fund that they're working on to get new seats in the Coliseum. We're going to get new seats.
Well, see, I think what happens here is, we start a petition to rename the court. People start thinking, the wheels start turning. Then we come with a donor for new seats. I mean, if you're going to have a newly named court, you need to put some new seats there. And look,
get the new name to the court.
Let's face it. You and I were there earlier in the season. Your rear end will thank you for some new seats, depending on where these go and what type. But I'm excited because anything to make it. They've already done a ton of stuff, let's face it, to add some creature comforts to the Coliseum, and
right.
With the all the revamp of the concession stands and the way that's all set up now. So
widening of
so it's exciting to hear stuff like this because these upgrades are it makes a huge difference.
And a couple other things, just to go off on that. I mean, first of all, the big news with the new seats, by the way, that they put into the article, make sure it was top first line. Yeah. They're gonna have cup holders. We got cup holders coming, boys.
I mean, come on.
Gotta get those cup holders.
I find it surprising, Johnson, that you would be excited about this since you are old gray walls. You're the old battleship.
Why?
At the football field. So
Why
I'm
do you do
surprised
this to me?
that you're into this.
No, I'm excited.
You don't like color.
Well,
come on.
The other part about it that I thought was interesting is the main reason they needed to get new seats is that they can't find parts to repair the existing seats.
Well, there you go.
And I imagine them going to some Sanford and Son junkyard looking for parts.
They're
you guys got any parts for some old seats?
On eBay.
Yeah, right. They got guys at Storage Wars hoping they can find old seats.
American Pickers is where I hear they used to get their parts for their seats.
Call them Frank from American Pickers saying, "Get me my seat parts."
Mike and Frank.
Yeah. And then I think I'm pretty sure I heard this from Tony Caridi at one point. We're getting a new scoreboard next year in the Coliseum as well. So
okay.
New fancy dancy round, Madison Square Garden looking scoreboard.
Oh, interesting.
Uncle Mark and I were talking about this at the game this week.
Come on.
I went to the game with Uncle Mark.
Well,
Uncle Mark knows it. He's on the inside. He knows that the scoreboard's coming. So
that's a reliable source.
He's the one who texted me about the seats thing. Well, he's super excited about the seats.
Shout out to Uncle Mark. I mean, that's as it happens.
We didn't even talk about Uncle Mark's who, when we do our yearly Got Your Eers On game that we all meet and go to, Uncle Mark's who we tailgate with. He's our tailgate chef. He and cousin Frank,
which was a sweet setup, by the way.
Would you call it the GYEO con?
Yes, it's Got Your Eers On con.
Got Your Eers On con.
Got your ears. Say that 10 times real fast.
God.
So anyways, he's like, "Hey, come to the basketball game with me on in February." I'm like, "Okay, I'm in. I'll be in town. Let's do it." And so we go, and he's like, "We're gonna leave. Game's at 2:00, right?" He's like, "We're gonna leave the house and get to the parking lot 11:30, so we have good parking." So we literally, the gates don't open till 12:30 on a 2:00 game. So here we are, 11:30 in the parking lot, parked right there by the aquatic center, getting ready for the game. I'm like, "All right, so what do we do for the next hour?" So he was like, "Oh, don't worry, we're tailgating." Pulls out the pepperoni rolls, pulls out the Doritos.
Nice.
He's got sodas in the car. We're listening to Morgantown High basketball.
Now, were these Country
in
Club Bakery pepperoni rolls?
Come on, man. Is there anything else other than Country Club Bakery?
Yes, Roger and Matzah's. They don't go with the pepperoni pylon. They go with
here's what you do. Here's what you do, guys. This is how you tailgate at a WVU basketball game, because you're not allowed to tailgate. You're not allowed to set up a tent and grill at WVU basketball games. In case you're
you're not.
Here's what you do. You get to the parking lot early.
That.
You get to the parking lot early. You pull up. You leave the car running. You get some tin foil. You put the pepperoni rolls in the tin foil. You put them on the engine block with a little bit of cheese. Nice and soft and a little cheese on there.
Engine block?
Tailgate in West Virginia pepperoni roll style. Yeah, right on the engine block. You
I
know,
thought it's
the thing under the hood.
Scoot. I thought he was going to be like, you shove it in the tailpipe and you let her heat.
And Johnson, the idea of having the upgrades and the new Coliseum name, which I think we'll probably see in the fall. I mean, I imagine that by the fall they're going to come up with a name. And then if we get our petition to get to like 20,000 signatures in the next month.
Yeah, I feel like that's tying a bow on top of it, don't you?
So all they got to do is before next basketball season come out, and they can name it the Tudor's Biscuit Basket, the Bob Huggins Court at the, Sheets MTO Center.
Yes.
And, with the new school scoreboard and some new comfy seats that you can put your beer in a cup holder. It's perfect,
done.
Right?
Boom.
It's done.
Hashtag
it's perfect.
Done.
So listen, folks, if you get a chance, go on change.org, sign the petition to rename the court Bob Huggins Court, and let's get WVU to do this. Let's get everybody out there to share it, like it, get everybody in on the game. Let's get it done. Johnson, have a good week. We'll be back next week talking more basketball and more stuff. Thanks to Mark Rucker for joining us. That was awesome, and I'm sure we're going to follow his career during his time at WVU. It's going to be exciting for him next season.
Super
getting
cool.
up there. So, all right, guys. Well, listen. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week. Don't forget to check us out online on Instagram at Got Your Eers, on Twitter same thing at Got Your Eers, and GotYourEarsOn.com, our website, the hub for everything. So we'll be back next week. You've been listening to Got Your Ears On.